Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now, your host, Tim Johnson.
Welcome to another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Thanks for joining us. The Louisiana Chemical Association was formed in 1959 to promote a positive business climate and to ensure long-term economic growth for its 63 member companies that operate more than 100 sites throughout Louisiana. Founded in 1990, the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance is a partnership between plants and suppliers representing more than 600 member companies. Dan Borne is the president of the LCA and the LCIA. Before joining those organizations, Dan worked for Kaiser Aluminum, a state senator, a congressman, 3 United States senators, and a governor. He's anchored television news and sports and done radio play-by-play. He's also well known as the PA voice of Tiger Stadium and the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Dan Borne joins us when we return on the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College. Do you want a better life?
Get your associate's degree in occupational studies in information technology from ITI. In 2 years, you'll be on your way to a better life. You will get hands-on specialized training in computers, hardware and software, networking, and more. ITI offers flexible class schedules, and financial aid is available to those who qualify.
So don't wait. Call ITI now or go online. It's that simple.
ITI for a better life.
I'm Leighton Ricks, Livingston Parish, and Livingston Parish is on the move. One of the primary things that we ran on was developing business and jobs in Livingston Parish for our people so that we can bring obviously additional revenue to be able to support our infrastructure needs. We're going to continue to progress here in Livingston Parish. When everybody comes together, these kind of things happen. I mean, what can you say? It's absolutely awesome. It's the perfect place to be. It's where you want to be today, I can guarantee you that.
Hi, I'm Lee Burkeen with Louisiana Football TV Magazine. Be sure to watch our show every week when we have big-time recruits, college coaches, NFL players, current and former players, and call-ins with your questions. Be sure to catch us every Tuesday night at 6:30 live and 10:30 replayed on Cox 4 in Baton Rouge.
Insurance commercials have become unusually funny. We think that's strange because we take auto coverage pretty seriously at Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Of course, when you cover as many vehicles in Louisiana as we do, it doesn't leave a lot of time for silly gimmicks. We're more concerned about what happens to you on the road than any chickens that happen to cross it just to make you chuckle. Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Real service, real people.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're joined by my good friend Dan Borne, president of the Louisiana Chemical Association and the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance. Dan, welcome.
Tim, good to be with you. Thanks a lot.
Glad you're here. Talked a little bit about your background in the open, but you know, you're a native Louisianian, Thibodaux, Nickel State kind of guy.
Right.
Tell us a little more about your background and sort of the career path that led you to the Louisiana Chemical Association.
Well, I worked in media early in my career, right out of college. When I entered graduate school for the first time, got involved in the political arena. Ended up over a course of several years working for a state senator, 3 United States senators, a congressman, and a governor, all in a compact unit of about 10 years. Then got into industry, hopefully using the media and political experience that I had into work for a Fortune 500 company for 10 years in Louisiana. And then just over 25 years ago, joined Louisiana Chemical Association, which consists of about 60 multinational corporations that operate at about 100 locations in the state. So my basic career path has been a liberal arts degree from Nichols, a master's from LSU, media, politics, and and now trade association work after working for a corporation for 10 years.
Harvard on the Bayou. as
Harvard
we
on the
call it,
Bayou,
Nicholls
absolutely.
State University. Great
You bet.
place. Actually, one of the places that I considered going to play basketball, as a matter of fact. But interestingly, as a Louisiana native, growing up in South Louisiana, in your current job now, sort of representing a major part of the economy of our state, what did you learn from growing up in a place like South Louisiana, Thibodaux, going to school at Nicholls? What has that meant to you in your career?
Well, I learned we had a lot of gifts that we took for granted here in the state. As I got older in life and as I began to fully understand and appreciate the power of the industry that I now work with and for, I look back and I really didn't recognize that we have a certain set of gifts that we put to work, and we put to work well in this state. We have dead dinosaurs. We have this Jurassic Park of minerals, oil and natural gas. We have two arteries to the world. We have the Mississippi River, which is the aorta of American commerce, and we have the Calcasieu Basin, which is located, in southwest Louisiana, Lake Charles and Calcasieu Parish. We have lots of land that was available not only for agricultural use, but also for transformation into industrial and refinery use. And we have people. We have great people. We have very productive people. Any of our plants will tell you that our people are the most productive in the world, because they have people all over the world that they work with and for. Now, someone may argue that in hunting season we're not all that productive, but tremendous folks who work at our locations. And as I gradually learned more about the industry, I realized how the state over a century or so has applied these gifts and now has the third largest chemical manufacturing economy in the United States, second to Texas and to California, but very close to California.
We're going to talk about the size of that industry in just a minute, but now you mentioned 25 years or so with the Louisiana Chemical Association. There are a number of organizations that are associated, the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance. But tell us a little bit about the missions of those organizations and what you do day to day to support industry.
Well, the LCA consists of the chemical plants. If you would picture an aircraft carrier, those are the economic engines. If you would look at the rest of the fleet, all of the ships and the boats that support the aircraft carrier, those are the members of the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance. Everything from consultants to law firms to construction firms to maintenance firms to data processing firms, you name it. Anything that has a service or a product that the industry uses, those folks are in an organization that the aircraft carriers have to have. The aircraft carrier does not exist without a fleet, and the fleet doesn't exist without an aircraft carrier. So there's a tremendous symbiotic relationship here. And so we seek to build that relationship. We seek to improve whatever conditions need to be improved so that we can grow jobs here and so that we can keep more and more of our young people at work in Louisiana and not send them off to foreign places.
You do a lot of things in governmental affairs, legislative affairs. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. We've got about 2.5 minutes left in this segment. What's the current state of the chemical industry in Louisiana? Size, scope, employment? What's the impact that it has on our economy?
Well, it's a $60 billion a year industry. If you can imagine, we ship about $60 billion worth of products every year. About $8 billion of that goes overseas. So we produce about $60 billion worth of product, about $8 billion is shipped all over the world. We are the #1 employer in the manufacturing sector in Louisiana. We add value to the manufacturing sector more than anyone else. And our wages are extremely high. The average wage at a chemical plant is about $92,000 a year. Now, some folks make a little less and some folks make a little more, but that's a tremendous wage. We have about 28,000 full-time employees at all of our plants. They work 24/7, and that's the state of the industry. Each job at a chemical plant, Tim, is worth another 5.2 jobs in the economy. So that makes our multiplier effect 6.2, which means that for every, let's say every airplane on the aircraft carrier, there are 5.2 other ships that help support that particular plane on that big aircraft carrier. So it's a tremendous economic engine. The state of the industry right now is strong. We're bullish on it because the natural gas situation, being what it is, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later, has provided us with an economic model that can grow this industry not just incrementally, but grow it strong leaps and bounds. And that is very important to the people of this state.
And you mentioned the jobs, you mentioned the level of pay that these jobs, these are great careers in this industry. And you mentioned also the quality of the people that work in Louisiana. I want to tell you a quick story before we go to break. I had a conversation with a plant manager just a few years ago, and he was sort of chuckling as he watched one of his employees make a presentation. And I said, Mike, what? He said, I've never worked in a place, and Tim, I've worked all over the world, I've never worked in a place where the employees take ownership of a facility like they do in Louisiana. He said it's outstanding, and we'll talk more about that when we come back. We're visiting with Dan Borne. He's the president of the Louisiana Chemical Association and the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this.
I go to work every day, and I love doing what I'm doing, and I love being a part of Livingston Parish, and to be elected sheriff, to be able to lead Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office is just such an honor for me. And so I'm very excited about not only where we're at today, but where we're going to be at in the future. The parish is so special to the citizens. They work with the Sheriff's Office, they trust the Sheriff's Office. Our community stands behind us 100%, and they get involved. They don't want crime in Livingston Parish.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the Grand Slam hitter to grandparents. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Hello, I'm Eric Edwards with the Livingston Parish Convention and Visitors Bureau. Find out now what's going on in Livingston Parish. We have over 400 nautical miles of waterways. Tee it up at our great world-renowned golf courses. Shop at our antique districts, or come to Bass Pro, our #1 retailer. There's a lot to do in Livingston Parish that you never imagined. It's all happening right here in Livingston Parish. For more information, go online at visitlivingstonparish.com.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the three-point shooter to the three-piece suit. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're visiting with my good friend Dan Borne. He is the president of the Louisiana Chemical Association and the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance. And Dan, you gave us a good overview of the organization and both organizations really in the first segment. And we touched on the fact that you guys are so heavily involved in representing the industry before the Louisiana legislature. A lot of advocacy work that you do. It's critically important that the industry have a group like you guys. Greg Bowser and his team do a nice job representing them, because tax policy, regulation can impact industry significantly, both positively and negatively. So let's talk a little bit about your engagement in the political process, lobbying, the legislature, some of the successes you've had, some of the things you guys pay attention to and watch out for, and maybe some of the things that we might see coming up in the 2014 legislative session.
Well, we pay a lot of attention to any type of legislation that might affect energy, for example, and taxation, specifically energy taxation. Several years ago, we went to a young candidate for governor by the name of Bobby Jindal, and we said, Governor, in Louisiana, we're paying a tax on natural gas and on electricity that our competitors in other states don't have to pay. For example, if a plant spends $100 million on electricity, which is not a lot, by the way, they spend a lot more than that, they've got to pay $3.8 million in sales tax. The Texans don't have to pay that. People in Alabama don't have to pay that. So we think the case can be made in order to make Louisiana competitive, that tax should be repealed and repealed permanently. And the governor, as a congressman and as a candidate, told us that he would make that a major platform plank. Well, knowing that, we went to the legislative candidates and we explained this issue to them, that a basic raw material that we use, natural gas, and a necessity that we have to have electricity, was costing us more in Louisiana than it was in our competing states. The legislature seemed to get it. And when the governor was elected, his second special session dealt with repealing that tax. He proposed it. We reminded legislators about the discussions we had with them during the election process, and that tax was repealed with no votes against it. 100% yes in both houses.
A real indication, though, isn't it, about the recognition of how critically important the industry is to our state?
Well, it is important, and of course you make your points based on the fact that we are a huge economic engine, but nothing is automatic. Just because an investment dollar has come here doesn't mean that the next investment dollar is going to flow here. Every single investment is judged on its own merit, based on its business supply chain ramifications, the ability of capital, and those types of things. And what you don't want is peculiar taxes like a tax on energy to be a disincentive for further investment. And the legislature got it, and certainly the governor and his staff got it. So that's an example of making the case with facts that folks who may not understand totally everything there is to know about a chemical plant can make an informed decision on. And we found that to be a successful case. We are very attentive to anything that happens in the area of environmental regulation and legislation. Let me just say first and foremost, we're for strong, fair, and firm regulation. Environmentally, Office of Conservation, any office that regulates what we do, we want well-funded, well-run, firm, fair regulation. But we do pay attention to regulatory schemes that might make us disadvantaged versus Texas, other parts in the country. And we would like to know, if this is good for Louisiana, explain to us why it's got to be more stringent than Texas, or perhaps even more stringent than the federal government. So we work with legislators to bring information to the table so they can make informed decisions. Health, safety, and security, extremely important to us, operationally as well as legislatively and regulatorily. And so we're always working with regulators and legislators in those fields. Of course, workforce development is extremely important. Making sure that the folks that retire our plants, and there are many of them now who are reaching the age of retirement, that they have replacements to come in and what we call backfill for them. And now, as we face this enormous investment opportunity, tens of thousands of people are going to be needed to come and build those plants and to maintain them and work at them after they're built.
If you think about the successes that the Louisiana Chemical Association has had in representing industry before the legislature, a lot of those things that you've done over the past 10 years or so really have set the stage, I think, from a business climate standpoint for the growth and the announcements and the investment that we are beginning to recognize now. Certainly low natural gas prices are a major driver of that, and we're going to talk about that investment a lot in the next segment. But there's no question but that a significantly improved business climate in our state has played a real role in driving some of these announcements as well.
Well, it has. I'll give you an example. Governor Foster, who had worked in and out of chemical plants his entire career before he got interested in politics, his administration came to us and said, how can we help this industry really, really grow? And we said, well, we need help in process technology, because every raw material we get into our plants, zero defects. If something is not perfect, we send it back.
Right.
Everything we ship, zero defects, because if it's not perfect, our customers ship it back to us. The one resource we're getting off spec is our human resource. Kids are coming to us without the ability to read, write, and compute well. He said, well, what can we do? And we said, why don't we set up process technology programs around the state at community colleges and at technical schools? And he said, good, I'll give you the money. You go get the curriculum. And so because of that public-private partnership, we now have an incredibly successful process technology program at the Baton Rouge Community College, just a few blocks from here. We have it down in New Orleans, Delgado, up and down the river, and in Lake Charles. An example of creating something that feeds into the process of helping grow the industry. Now kids can get out of high school, spend 2 years in a process technology class at community colleges, and go to work for a major company, and within a very short amount of time make $60,000 to $70,000 to $80,000 a year.
It's been very, very successful, and I want to talk about what it's leading to when we come back. We're visiting with Dan Borne. He's the president of the Louisiana Chemical Association, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Lee Burkeen with Louisiana Football TV Magazine. Be sure to watch our show every week when we have big-time recruits, college coaches, NFL players, current and former players, and call-ins with your questions. Be sure to catch us every Tuesday night at 6:30 live and 10:30 replayed on Cox 4 in Baton Rouge.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the soccer star to the soccer mom. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Insurance commercials have become unusually funny. We think that's strange because we take auto coverage pretty seriously at Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Of course, when you cover as many vehicles in Louisiana as we do, it doesn't leave a lot of time for silly gimmicks. We're more concerned about what happens to you on the road than any chickens that happen to cross it just to make you chuckle. Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Real service, real people.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from long drivers to unlucky drivers. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're having a great conversation with my friend Dan Borne, who is the president of the Louisiana Chemical Association and the Louisiana Chemical Industry Alliance. We're on the verge of a growth phase for the petrochemical industry in Louisiana like we may never have seen before. Low natural gas prices, a lot of the improved business climate that we talked about earlier in the show driving what we're seeing, but it seems that we can't go more than a couple of days without reading about a $1 billion announcement investment, hundreds of jobs being created, hundreds of jobs being retained in the industry. What's it like from your perspective? From a couple of standpoints. Number one, it's got to be personally satisfying, given all the work you've done over the last 25 years to improve the climate for the industry here. But to see it all coming to fruition now and to see all these announcements and to know what the industry is going to be like over the next 20 years, when just 10 years or so ago we were writing the death certificate for the industry in the United States. How does it feel?
Well, Tim, you're an athlete, so you know sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
That's right.
Okay, well, we lost 10,000 jobs because of high natural gas prices at our plants from 1999 to 2009. 10,000 jobs disappeared or were shipped offshore. Then the magic of American ingenuity came and found that you could run a pipe sideways through rock and shake gas out of there. And so because of fracking now, we have natural gas that is plentiful and is competitively priced. And natural gas is the daily bread of our operations. It is what flour is to a bakery shop. Everything we do is somehow or another, directly or strongly indirectly, connected to natural gas. And so that has made a huge difference, okay? And so now plants that were shipping jobs offshore are shipping them back. You know, Methanex is taking plants from Chile, putting them on barges and ships and bringing them to Geismar, Louisiana.
They're dismantling them in Chile,
absolutely,
putting them on ships and rebuilding them in Louisiana.
Half of the investment that's coming to America, because of the natural gas boom, is coming from overseas. So clearly the world is bullish on America and on Louisiana. Now, with that great news, there are also some challenges, but I'd rather have the challenges we have then have the challenges of losing jobs. Challenges workforce, trades, crafts. The men and women we're going to need to build these plants and then maintain them. We need a Manhattan-type project when it comes to training, because over the next year and a half or so, it's not going to happen right away, but over the next year and a half or 2 years, as more and more of these plans evolve into fruition, we're going to need more and more people to weld, to be mechanics, to do instrumentation, and to help construct and maintain our plants. That's a challenge. Lots of people are working on it. Everybody knows about it. It's the most reported thing you've ever seen, and that's great. Lobby's #1 priority. LCA's #1 priority. The governor will have something in the session about it. John White over at the Department of Education now talking about something called Jumpstart, where young people will be exposed to these trades earlier in their junior high and high school careers to let them know what's available out there. So all of the systems are angling in the right direction. We just have to keep it moving so that when these announcements, which are now in the engineering phase, evolve into the construction phase, we have the people here who can do it.
How do we keep this momentum going? I mean, you mentioned obviously we've got to work towards solving the workforce issue so that we can actually build and staff these plants with competent individuals. But you know, looking past even the workforce development issue, we've seen what we've never seen before. How do we keep this going?
Well, I think it's got a momentum built into it, because we're going to be building brand new plants in this state that are going to be operating for decades. We have existing plants which sometimes kind of fall under the radar that are investing billions themselves to upgrade their facilities or to expand their facilities. And so we not only have billions of dollars coming for new construction, brand new pipes, brand new everything, we have other billions of dollars being spent to upgrade, modify, debottleneck, and expand the capacity that we have. That's why the momentum is here, and I don't think it's going to be slowed. I think this is for real.
It's really going to be fun to watch. You know, I do a lot of work, as you know, in the industry as well, and I'm pretty excited about where we're going and what the future holds here. We want to have you back on the show regularly to talk about this growth as we go forward and keep us abreast of what's going on with the Louisiana Chemical Association.
Love to.
My friend, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Tim. Enjoyed it.
That's a wrap, guys. Hope you'll join us next week at this same time. Our guest will be Eduardo Duval, who is the site leader, site director for Dow at its big Plaquemine site, the Louisiana operations, and he'll be talking about this growth that we're going to see. They've got over $1 billion investment there. Thanks to Dan Borne for joining us today. You've been watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.